Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 13, Text number 14. Kanchit kalamathavatsit satkruto devavat sukham bhratur jeshtasya shreyaskrit sarvesham sukhamavahan. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Thus Mahatma Vidura, being treated just like a godly person by his kinsmen, remained there for a certain period just to rectify the mentality of his eldest brother, and in this way bring happiness to all the others. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Saintly persons like Vidura must be treated as well as a denizen from heaven. In those days, denizens of heavenly planets used to visit homes like that of Maharaj Yudhishthira. And sometimes persons like Arjuna and others used to visit higher planets. Narada is a spaceman who can travel unrestrictedly, not only within the material universes, but also in the spiritual universes. Even Narada used to visit the palace of Maharaj Yudhishthira, and what to speak of other celestial demigods. It is only the spiritual culture of the people concerned that makes interplanetary travel possible even in the present body. Maharaj Yudhishthira therefore received Vidura in the manner of reception offered to the demigods. Mahatma Vidura had already adopted the renounced order of life, and therefore he did not return to his paternal palace to enjoy some material comforts. He accepted out of his own mercy what was offered to him by Maharaj Yudhishthira. But the purpose of living in the palace was to deliver his elder brother Dhritarashtra, who was too much materially attached. Dhritarashtra lost all his state and descendants in the fight with Maharaj Yudhishthira, and still, due to his sense of helplessness, he did not feel ashamed to accept the charity and hospitality of Maharaj Yudhishthira. On the part of Maharaj Yudhishthira, it was quite in order to maintain his uncle in a befitting manner. But acceptance of such magnanimous hospitality by Dhritarashtra was not at all desirable. He accepted it because he thought that there was no alternative. Vidura particularly came to enlighten Dhritarashtra and to give him a lift to the higher status of spiritual cognition. It is the duty of the enlightened souls to deliver the fallen ones, and Vidura came for that reason. But talks of spiritual enlightenment are so refreshing that while instructing Dhritarashtra, Vidura attracted the attention of all the members of the family, and all of them took pleasure in hearing him patiently. This is the way of spiritual realization. The message should be heard attentively, and if spoken by a realized soul, it will act on the dormant heart of the conditioned soul. And by continuously hearing, one can attain the perfect stage of self-realization. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. So this is the part of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, the first canto. The chapter is called Dhritarashtra Quits Home. And this verse is talking about Mahatma Vidura returning to the palace. He had actually gone away, and he was renounced. But he returned to the palace. And when he returned to the palace, and he stayed there for some time, kanchit kalam atha avatsit. He resided in the palace, and he was very nicely treated. Satkrutaha. Devavat. He was treated as if he was a denizen who has descended from the heaven. Very, very respectfully he was treated. And Sukham, and all his necessities were taken care. Who was doing all of that? Who made all these arrangements? It was Maharaj Yudhishthira, because he was the king, and it was his palace, and it was his uncle, and Vidura, it was his uncle, and a very, very spiritually enlightened person. So Yudhishthira must have been very happy to have Mahatma Vidura there. And the purpose of Mahatma Vidura coming to the palace after having given up everything, and at the end of Kurukshetra war, Yudhishthira is now enthroned as the king, emperor. And the purpose of his coming was Bhratur Jeshtasya Shreyaskrit. And his brother, Bhratur, Jeshtasya Bhratur, he was the eldest son, eldest brother. So for him, he wanted to do Shreyaskrit. Prabhupada has nicely translated that word Shreyaskrit, to rectify the mentality of his eldest brother. His brother's mentality had to be rectified. It has gone wrong, and it had to be rectified. And so, Shreyaskrit. And while he was doing that, staying in the palace for some time, and provided all when Maharaj Yudhishthira had provided all the care and the comforts for him, and he was attending to rectify the mentality of his eldest brother. And so at that time there were many others in the family. Sarvesham Sukhamavahan. All of them also became very, very happy to hear and to be in the presence of Mahatma Vidura. Thus Mahatma Vidura, being treated just like a godly person, Devavat, by his kinsmen, remained there for a certain period, Kanchit Kalam Athavatsit, to rectify the mentality of his eldest brother. Shreyaskrit, eldest of his eldest brother, Bhratur Jeshtasya Shreyaskrit, and in this way bring happiness, Sukham Avahan, to all the others. Sarvesham Sukham Avahan. So, Prabhupada has commented in the purport. Why is it said that Devavat Sukham, Satkruto Devavat Sukham? He was treated like a denizen. So Prabhupada is saying that it was not uncommon during Maharaj Yudhishthira's ruling that there were denizens who would come and visit Maharaj Yudhishthira. Denizens from the heavenly planet would come and visit. And so Maharaj Yudhishthira was so highly respected. He's not an ordinary person. And even the Pandavas, they were also very qualified. Even they would go to other heavenly planets. Arjuna went to heavenly planets, and then he got married there, and many things happened like that. So people from the earthly planet would go to heavenly planets, and people from heavenly planets would come to earthly planets. This kind of an interplanetary travel, Prabhupada has used that word, interplanetary travel, was possible. But that was happening not by any material means. Take a rocket, space shuttle and go, and not this kind of very gross, mundane thing like that. It was because of spiritual culture. They were so spiritually advanced that there was a desire for the denizens to come here and there were some opportunities for the great Pandavas to go to heavenly planets for a certain purpose. So it was because of a spiritual culture. So what is this spiritual culture? And how can interplanetary travel, all of this can come about? We will see that very nicely, some nice expressions and some nice points Prabhupada explains in the latter part of the purport. So, Mahatma Vidura had come to the palace, and his intent was Bhratur Jeshtasya Shreyaskrit. Prabhupada often taught this, that there is something known as Shreyas and there is something known as Preyas. Shreyas is something on a long term, on a big scale, what is good for us. And Preyas is something very, very short term, limited, immediate gratification. And that is Preyas. And the example Srila Prabhupada gave was just like small children. Small children are playing with toys, and they have a king and a queen and all of that. There's a husband and there's a wife and a child. They have some toys and they are lost in that. Sometimes few small children, they have so many toys and they keep playing with the toys and fantasizing so many things and enjoying life like that with this toy world. And suddenly the mother or the father comes and says, "Keep away the toys, go and do your homework." And then the child cries, "Oh, what is it? How cruel my father is, how cruel my mother is. I'm enjoying nicely here." Why does that happen? Because the children are in a preyas mode of thinking. It's a mode of thinking. Children are very happy. Such a nice king and queen and such a kingdom I have got. See, I'm looking after all these things. So much pleasure I'm getting. Why mother is coming and disturbing me? But the mother is thinking from the Shreyas angle. It's another mode of thinking. Oh, you can't. This is all fantasy, this toy world. This is not the real world. You're going to grow up and you're going to face the world, harsh world, and you have to be educated, you have to study, all of that. See, the mother's mode of thinking is not the immediate pleasure the child is getting, because she is more enlightened because of her age. Actually, Shreyas thinking, Preyas thinking is a sign, it is a function of the enlightenment of the soul. When a living entity is more and more enlightened, he very clearly understands, just like mother clearly understands, hey, what is this? There's no kingdom, there's no king, there's no queen, it's all stupid. What are you fantasizing? Go do your homework. Right? That's the mother's thinking. She very clearly sees that that's a very, very limited reality, that what the child is absorbed in. But the child thinks that's all in all. This is how an enlightened, spiritually enlightened person will look at human society, which is absorbed in prayers. Just gratification of the senses and celebration of this body and the pleasures of the body. That's what modern society is. It's a grand celebration of the temporary, limited pleasures of this body. And we are asked to pack up and go. So, spiritual point of view is about Shreyas, but the material gratification, all of that is prayers. And here, Bhratur Jeshtasya Shreyaskrit. It's actually to do with the mentality. Whether one is thinking of Shreyas or one is thinking of Preyas. It's a mentality. It's a frame of mind. It's a matter of enlightenment. And that can be rectified. And that can be rectified with proper association, proper enlightenment, proper training, proper education. And that's what Mahatma Vidura had come to do that to his brother. Bhratur Jeshtasya Shreyaskrit. So, Srimad-Bhagavatam is all about Shreyaskrit. It's not about prayers. There are some Vedic literatures which are about prayers. Because in the human society, it's a fact that there are large number of people who are childlike, not very enlightened, who are after the material pleasures, and that's the dominant thing in their life. Whole life they are thinking how I should improve my material enjoyment. So there are a large number of people, and so is a gradual process for rectification of the materialistic people is also necessary, and so Vedas have a large portion of that, and that's known as the Karma Kanda section. These are all very beautiful explanations by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he gave these explanations, these kind of perspectives from seeing the whole of the Vedic literatures and seeing the whole Vedic knowledge. And then he explained this to the Goswamis, and the Goswamis wrote this in their books. And that's how we have this understanding from Srila Prabhupada. So there is a portion of the Vedic literature which talks about all of this, prayers also, with a hope to gradually rectify the mentality of the materialistic people. But then, there is also a portion of the Vedic literature which is not about prayers, but emphasizes Shreyas, with an intent to quickly bring about the highest enlightenment, the highest benefit to the human society. And especially that is relevant in Kali Yuga. Prabhupada also explains that the Bhagavatam revolves around the 6 questions the sages of Naimisharanya asked. Very, very interesting. There were 6 questions. The sages of Naimisharanya, they met at the Sandhya of Dwapar Yuga and Kali Yuga. And it was just the beginning of Kali Yuga. And they were very concerned about the nature, about what is going to happen in Kali Yuga. And that's how the Bhagavatam begins. Prayen alpayushah sabhya kalavasmin yuge jana manda sumanda matayor manda bhagyahya upadrutaha. So these are the characteristics of the people of Kali Yuga. They are short-lived compared to the previous yugas. Alpayushah prayena alpayushah sabhya kalavasmin yuge jana manda. They are very lazy about spiritual life. Sumanda matayaha. They are not very intelligent because they are so much in the preyas mode of thinking. They don't understand this is all temporary. It will be gone. So they are manda matayaha, manda bhagyaha. And even if they are a little interested in spiritual life, they land up with some bogus people, not genuinely practicing spirituality. What is genuine spirituality? Very, very few people know about all this. And so they land up with, and then they get exploited. That's why they are unfortunate. Genuine spiritual followers, genuine spiritual pursuit is rare. That's another feature of Kali Yuga. So, manda bhagyaha and upadritaha, and they are very disturbed. For spiritual culture, there's a certain amount of tranquility that's needed. Just like people are so busy. Just like last 1 week or so, the whole world is celebrating. Oh my God, so nice, peaceful. The birds are coming out. The world has become very peaceful. Not so much traffic and all of those kind of things. People are seeing that. A certain tranquility is required. But in Kali Yuga, things are very, very agitated. All the people are actually waiting at home. When the bill, this will be lifted, and they'll all come out and come back to their... So they become very, very agitated. Upadritaha, very, very disturbed. So in that kind of a mood, spirituality is not so easy. So that is why the sages all assembled, the sages of Naimisharanya, hundreds and hundreds of them, they all assembled there. And then among them they found Suta Goswami, very, very enlightened, very elevated. And one of the things about Suta Goswami was he had personally heard Shukadev Goswami speak to Parikshit. He was there and he had heard that. And these sages knew that Suta Goswami was very enlightened. He had heard this from Parikshit, from Shukadev Goswami. He had personally heard the conversation that had happened. Very elevated. So let's ask him. And they placed before him 6 questions. And the first of the 6 questions is Tatra Tatranjasa Ayushman Bhavato Yat Vinishchitam Pumsam Ekantataha Shreyas Tanna Shamsitum Arhasi. Can you please explain to us? Shamsitum. Please elaborate. Please explain to us. Bhavataha Yad Vinishchitam. What you have ascertained. Prabhupada comments on this word Vinishchitam. Vinishchitam means ascertain. Not randomly say something, something that. No, you have deliberated this. Vinishchitam means after deliberation, a certain subject, certain issue has been settled. Lot of intelligent people have applied their mind, they have agitated, they have deliberated from different angles, and they have ascertained. That is the settled matter. There's no further debate about it, because it's already been sufficiently debated and deliberated. That's the meaning of the word Bhavataha Yad Vinishchitam. Suta Goswami, you are very, very enlightened. And what is it that you have ascertained? Bhavataha Yad Vinishchitam Pumsam Ekantataha Shreyaha. Ekantataha Shreyaha means ultimate Shreyas. Ekantataha means there is nothing beyond that. That's the highest. You have reached the pinnacle of Shreyas, well-being. For whom? Pumsam ekantataha Shreya. That is the highest thing for all humanity. Tannaha shamsitum arhasi. That can you please explain to us? This was the first question. And there are other 5 more questions. And the entire Bhagavatam is revolving about this ekantataha Shreyas. That's why you see here. What Vyasadeva did was, when he wanted to compile the Bhagavatam, he gathered from the history of humanity, from the history of the Vedic history of humanity, there were different occasions where subject matter of these 6 questions were discussed by different people, different circumstances. And he gathered all such discussions about Shreyaskrit. Another next question they ask is about Saram, the essence of all Vedic literatures. Another question they ask is about the intent of Krishna appearing as Vasudeva, as a son of Vasudeva and Devaki. Intent. What was his intent? What was the purpose of the Lord's appearance? Then another question was Avatara Kataha. Avatara Katha. What was the narrations of the appearance of the Lord? So like this, 6 different questions were asked by the sages of Naimisharanya. And to answer them, where were these questions answered? In fact, those 6 questions were answered even by Shukadev Goswami, because Parikshit also had asked a similar question. I'm a man about to die. What is the best thing to do for me? What is it that I should be hearing? What is it that I should be learning? What is the best thing that I should be doing? And who was asking? Parikshit, very special person, very enlightened person, very qualified person. You see, even the person who is asking also should be very qualified and must be able, competent to comprehend. Suppose a small child goes to one mathematics professor and asks, "Sir, can you teach me some mathematics?" The professor can look, oh, he's a small child, what can I teach him? He will teach some simple thing. If some big researcher in mathematics or a postgraduate, he goes and asks, "Sir, can you tell me something about mathematics?" I say, "Yes, come, let's sit down, we will talk." The quality of the discussion between a professor of mathematics and a researcher of mathematics will be very different from the quality of conversation between a professor and a small child. Right? He may be a professor, but he's having a small child in front of him. What can he teach him? So, Vyasadeva considered very, very enlightened persons and very, very qualified hearers who were seeking for spiritual understanding. He gathered all such discussions, and that's what has become the Srimad-Bhagavatam. Because these 6 questions are very elevated. You see, Pumsam ekantatah shreyaha bhavataha yad vinishchitam pumsam ekantatah shreyaha tannashamsitum arhasi. What you have ascertained, because you are a very enlightened person, what is good, what is the highest good for all humanity? The sages did not ask the question, what is good for everybody, for all the Hindus of our country? They didn't ask a limited question, something that's good for all Hindus. They were asking for all humanity. What is the highest? Ekantatah shreya. What is the highest good for all humanity? That is why Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas, some of the Acharyas, predecessor Acharyas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they realized that this is actually Pumsam ekantatah shreyaha. This is something, this is the highest good for all humanity. It's not just that it is meant for a few. This is not some kind of an understanding. This is not some kind of a knowledge that is meant for a small section of people who believe in it and who like this. No, it is so fundamental and universal. Just like, say, for instance, let's say the concept of gravity, right? The concept of gravity was developed by Isaac Newton. In fact, Newton was a very, very strong Christian. In fact, Newton wrote many papers on his scientific discoveries. He founded calculus and theory of gravity and many things. So he wrote many, many scientific papers, research papers about all his thinking and all of those kind of things. So they were research papers. He also wrote a lot of papers on Christian theology. In fact, it is said that he wrote more number of papers on Christian theology than he wrote in science. He's a very devoted person. So now, suppose we say, oh, Isaac Newton brought out this nice idea of gravity and all Christians should know about it. It's a Christian idea. Gravity is a Christian. If you say that, it's a very wrong thing to say, because gravity is not just for Christians. Gravity is something that is holding the sun and the moon and the planets and the earth and all of that. It is so, its applicability, its reality is all over the universe. It's not just a few English Christians should know and appreciate theory of gravity because a very devoted Christian Englishman found this and all Christians should know about it. If you say like that, if you bring it to the framework of a Christian theology, you are limiting it. In the same way, what is discussed in the Srimad-Bhagavatam is not just some Indian Hindu believer's thought. It is something pumsam ekantatah shreya. That's why some of the expressions of Srila Prabhupada you can see here. Vidura particularly came to enlighten Dhritarashtra to give him a lift to the higher status of spiritual cognition. Very, very nice expressions by Srila Prabhupada. You see, there is a spiritual cognition. Cognition means awareness. It's a certain kind of an awareness. Say, for instance, you take a villager, uneducated villager, in our country, somewhere, very, very undeveloped part of our country, an old man, villager, and not very enlightened about that. If you talk to him about the constitution of our country and the constitutional rights he has got and all of those kind of things, he cannot perceive all of that. Because he's not trained. He doesn't understand those kind of things. Or for example, take a small child. You talk to a small child about human rights and democratic system of governance and running the world and all of those things. The child is not interested at all. Because his cognitive powers are undeveloped. When the child is properly trained and educated, his cognitive powers become more and more enriched, and then he can understand many things. In the same way, every human being has that potential for this expanding his cognitive powers and come to understand the spiritual cognition, and that's of a higher status. So Dhritarashtra, Vidura saw that my elder brother, because Vidura had met so many people during his travels around the country, and he had wonderful discussions. He was spiritually enlightened. So his spiritual cognition was very highly developed. And so he felt that my brother, poor fellow, my eldest brother, poor fellow, what he has been doing. All his life he is thinking how he's been planning how my son can be in power so that I can enjoy and I can have nice family, nice palace living, nice comforts, all these things. And he tried many things to get rid of the Pandavas, and he was not successful. And the very Pandavas whom he was trying to kill became victorious. But they were so gracious, Pandavas. They said, no, uncle, you should come and stay in our palace. No, it's all right. We know that you tried to kill us and all those kind of things. You tried many things through your sons. That's okay. That's all right. But after all, we are your nephew and you are our venerable uncle. So you come and stay. He said, he thought that, good. Okay, although my sons died, at least they are asking me to come and stay and enjoy the palace life, palatial life. Let me go. This is all his life is about. My eldest brother. I must elevate him. I must bring him to a higher status of spiritual cognition. Cognition is to become aware. How can I leave him like that? So Vidura returned to the palace and he wanted to enlighten him. And when he becomes enlightened, then his values will be is that I will look for Shreyas. I will look for something that is very enlightened, very lofty, very sublime, very, very, enriched kind of a happiness than the happiness that one can get from the sense gratification which is available even to the animals. Animals' power of cognition is limited to the gratification of the senses. Whereas human beings, we have the ability to elevate our cognitive powers to spiritual levels of cognition, higher status of spiritual cognition. See, such a wonderful expression that Prabhupada is talking about. Now, if you see carefully, the Bhagavatam is all about pumsam ekantataha shreyaha. the highest well-being. It so happened in the Bhagavad-gita, when Arjuna was in that kind of a difficult situation, not able to decide, what is this? I've come here to fight, but who have assembled here to fight? My own grandfather, my own teacher, all my cousins, and I have to kill them? When he became very disturbed, there was a kind of a weakness in his heart. I didn't know what to do. And then he turned to Krishna and he said, Karpanya doshopahatasvabhavaha prachami tvam dharma sammuda chetaha yat shreyasyan nishchitam bruhitanme. You see, Arjuna asked a very similar question. Yat shreyastvam nishchitam bruhitanme. Nishchitam shreyas bruhi tvam bruhi. He asked Krishna, please tell me what is shreyas for me. You see, that is why the Bhagavad-gita and the Bhagavatam, they are very, very, there is a lot of congruence in the themes of the Bhagavad-gita and the Srimad-Bhagavatam. The Bhagavad-gita, which is part of Mahabharata, by and large, it is all about the intrigues between the families and the war and this and that and all of that happens. It's laid out in a very interesting way so that it attracts the common people. But in the middle of that, Shreyas Katha is also put inside as the Bhagavad-gita. So that is why Bhagavad-gita is very special and important part of the entire Mahabharata. And Arjuna was asking that particular question, that karpanya dosha upahatasvabhavaha. I have now my nature, I have become karpanya dosha upahutaha. I have become afflicted with some kind of a weakness in my heart. Prachami tvam dharma sammuda chetaha. And about my duty, about my dharma, sammuda chetaha, I have become confused. Yat shreya nishchitam bruhitan me. And please, nishchitam, once again, just like bhavata yad vinishchitam pumsame kantatah shreya. He's asking Krishna. Now you can imagine, Arjuna is asking Krishna, nishchitam bruhitan me, very definitively tell me. Don't give me vague answer. Don't give me something that's all confusing and all of those kind of things. Nishchitam bruhitan me, yat shreyasyan nishchitam bruhitan me. What is shreyas? What Krishna has determined. And if you see Bhagavad-gita, throughout Krishna is saying, Ishto sime dhrudamiti. Arjuna, you are very dear to me. You are so dear. That's why if you read every few verses, Krishna is saying Bharata, Kaunteya, Bharatarshabha, Arjuna, all those kind of things, again and again. It was a very intimate talk. It was a very intimate talk between Krishna and Arjuna. It was not some kind of a very formal, that kind of a thing. It was full of intimacy. And Krishna feeling for his intimate friend. And Arjuna very intimately inquiring Krishna, please tell me what I should do. So, the subject matter of Krishna and Arjuna dialogue was also like that. And Arjuna was seeking that. That's why you see, another wonderful thing, there are many, many wonderful things about Bhagavad-gita. Why Bhagavad-gita is so celebrated? So much so, it is known as Prasthanatraya. In the Vedic culture, in the Vedic system, when an Acharya comes with a certain perspective, certain explanation of the Vedic literature, he has to explain his doctrine, his vada, in terms of the Bhagavad-gita. That's why it is known as Prasthanatraya. There are 3 prasthana evidences that the Acharya has to defend in terms of the Gita Prasthana, in terms of the Shruti Prasthana, Upanishads, and in terms of the Nyaya Prasthana from the Vedanta Sutra. Because these three, Bhagavad-gita, Upanishads, and the Vedanta Sutra, are considered to be very, very elevated aspects of the Vedic knowledge. And if there is a vada, if there is a doctrine, if there is a certain perspective, you have to defend that in terms of the Gita, the Upanishads, and the Vedanta. That's why Acharyas write commentary explaining that this is what the Gita is saying. So, after Arjuna asked this question in the beginning of the second chapter, Krishna begins to explain so many things in the second chapter. That's why second chapter of Gita is called the summary of the contents of the Gita. And many subject matter has been described. And now, it looks like at the end of hearing the second chapter, Arjuna is very confused. Let's see what Arjuna says. Arjuna says, Vyamishreneva vakyena buddhim mohayasiva me tadekam vada nischitya yena shreyoham apnuyam. Here again you see, shreyaha. The word is coming again and again. And Vyamishreneva vakyena. Krishna, you have spoken so many Vyamishrena vakya. You said this is good. You said that is also good. You said this is the same as this. You said that is also good and this is also the same. Vyamishreneva vakyena. You have said so many things and I am confused. Mohaya buddhim mohaya siva me. I have become confused. Tad ekam vada nischitya. Please tell me very, very clearly. Nischitya ekam vada. Don't tell me two things. You see, that is why Arjuna's questions are very pointed. It is about Shreya and it is Nischitya. It is definitive, it is about the highest good, and it is definitive. That's why Gita is very special. So, tam ekam vada nischitya yena shreyoham apnuyam. Aham shreyaha apnuyam. It should bring about the highest welfare for me. Please explain that. Again, Krishna again explains, third chapter, fourth chapter. Now, coming to the beginning of fifth chapter. Now, has he understood? Arjuna has become clear? No, Arjuna is still confused. Fifth chapter begins. Arjuna uvacha, sanyasam karmanam Krishna punar yogam cha shamsasi. You said, sanyasa, karmana, karma sanyasa. You should give up all activities, you said. Then again you said, yoga is very high, very important. Yoga is the highest. Yat shreyo etayor ekam tanme bruhi sunishchitam. Among the two, tell me, what is etayor ekam shreyaha? Again you see he's asking shreyaha. And tanme bruhi sunishchitam. Once again he's asking sunishchitam. That is why the Gita is all about Shreyas and the Bhagavatam is about Shreyas. And here we are seeing Mahatma Vidura. He's also come to ask about, to tell his brother about Shreyaskrit, to rectify his mentality, to elevate him, to lift him for spiritual cognition. So this is the whole Bhagavatam revolves around these topics of Shreyas. And Shreyas is a sign of enlightenment. And that was the message that Krishna presented to Arjuna, and that message is further elaborated in the Srimad-Bhagavatam. And another important point that Prabhupada makes is Mahatma Vidura, it is the duty of enlightened souls to deliver the fallen ones, and Vidura came for that reason. Vidura did not come for let me also enjoy some palatial comforts along with my eldest brother. That was not his intent. He was a very, very enlightened. In fact, after speaking to Maharaj Dhritarashtra about all these things, you will see towards the end of this chapter, he will tell Dhritarashtra, come with me, and he will take him and his wife, Gandhari, all three of them leave the palace and go to the forest. And he'll continue to enlighten him. His intent was not to. That's why it is said, Kanchit kalam athavatsit. For a short time he came. And this is another very important thing. Those who are enlightened, they have to share this knowledge. Now, you see, someone may say, Arjuna, look at his position. He was so fortunate. He was in confusion, but Krishna was there next to him. And Krishna told him, what is this? Arjuna thought it is a family fight that I have to get the kingdom from my cousins. But Krishna gave him a bigger picture of who Arjuna is and who truly Krishna is. And Krishna said that I have come here because I want Pandavas, Yudhishthira, to become the ruler. And this whole battle, I have designed it. It's by my arrangement. I just want you to play your role and be part of my mission. I am the Supreme Lord, the controller of the universe. And I have come here and I want your brother to become the emperor. That is the intent, and I have arranged this. And so Arjuna thought, oh, it is not just my family fight. It has got a much bigger purpose. It is the Lord's mission. And I am going to be part of the Lord's mission. Wow, wonderful. I never knew this. Ready, I am ready to fight. This is what happened to Arjuna. So somebody may say, very special, Arjuna was so fortunate. He was engaged in the mission of the Lord. Right? Somebody feels like that. So I had once a visitor, and that person said, I've come on a UN mission. I'm part of the UN mission, and he was feeling very strong. I'm part of the United Nations mission. United Nations is a very respected body in the world, and you are part of the United Nations mission, and you are part of that delegation. You feel, it's a very, very special thing. It's right. You feel big about it. In the same way, Arjuna's role was he was to be part of the Lord's mission. Very big thing. Such a great fortune Arjuna had. He was part of the Lord's mission. As Krishna explained the whole thing to Bhagavad-gita, towards the end of the Bhagavad-gita, after speaking all of this, he opens up. Very, very wonderful thing Krishna does. He says, this knowledge I've explained to you, Arjuna. Anyone who explains this to others, they will become very dear to me. And there shall be no one more dear than that person who is sharing this knowledge, explaining this knowledge to others. By saying that, Krishna has opened up. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu points out. This is what Mahatma Vidura is doing. Mahatma Vidura's intent was to come and explain, enlighten his eldest brother, who was so stupid and unintelligent. He wanted to rectify his mentality, tell him about Shreyaskrit, because all his life he has been in Preyaskrit. He wanted to change his mentality, and that's the duty of those who are enlightened. And Krishna is saying that anyone who enlightens others with this knowledge, he becomes very dear to me, because the entire creation of the Lord, the mission, the intent of the Lord's creation is to create these opportunities for enlightenment. And by saying this, Krishna has opened up. My mission did not end 5,000 years ago when I wound up my pastimes. I want my mission to continue. And an opportunity to participate in my mission is available for everyone. These were pointed out by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he spoke the words, Yare dekho tare kaho Krishna upadesh amar agna guruhaya taraya desh. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu welcomed and opened this opportunity. every one of us can become a participant in the divine mission of the Lord. And that's what Srila Prabhupada opens up. Otherwise, we were all thinking, I have my father, I have my mother, I have my father's business, my mother's wishes are there, I have to fulfill that, I have to earn some money. This is a limited thinking. Prabhupada brought us to a higher understanding. Now we can become participants in the Lord's mission. What a great thing, isn't it? What a great opportunity Prabhupada has created. Actually, every day in the morning when we wake up, this should come to our mind and push us out of our bed and say, oh, come on, this is important. What am I? My life is not just to earn some money, get something, pass some exam, get some grades. Everybody, some neighbors will say, hey, good guy, very intelligent guy. All stupid things. I have to become part of the divine mission of the Lord. An opportunity exists. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is welcoming us. Prabhupada wants us to do this. Prabhupada has created an opportunity for all of us, everyone in the world, because this is Pumsam ekantatah shreya. This is not just Bharatvasis, just Hindus, a few Brahmins, for them ekantatah shreya. No, Pumsam ekantatah shreya. This is the highest welfare. This is the best for everyone, and this should be shared with everyone. And all of us can become part. And this is the divine mission of the Lord, and we can be part of that. What a grand life Prabhupada has created for us. We don't have to be stuck, this life, my little problems are there. And Yare deko tare kaho Krishna Upadesh. Krishna Upadesh, don't speak your Upadesh. Prabhupada always warned. Your Upadesh, your stupid intelligence. What is your little intelligence? What Upadesh can you give? Krishna Upadesh you must give. So this is the wonderful big canvas that Prabhupada has created for all of us. And that's so nicely, that's the duty of everyone. And that's happening to Mahatma Vidura. Mahatma Vidura is doing that. So these are all the examples we have. So all that Prabhupada has taught, we see how all of this is so nicely, wonderfully reconciled in the Srimad-Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad-gita. We will stop here. Grantharaj Srimad-Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.
Hare Krishna. Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss any updates.